Hello everyone, this is Ayush Katari and welcome to my YouTube channel AK Talk Sport. This is the second video of my preview to the India-England series that's starting today. If you haven't watched the first video, please do watch it. The link is in the bio, and that video is a more general preview. It talks about why the series is important for India, injury news, the absentees from the Indian team, what kind of lineup can we expect, the sort of combinations we can expect, how it will affect India's balance, stuff like that I have talked about in that video. So do watch it if you haven't yet. But this video is a bit more specific. It talks about an issue where I feel it has been a big problem for India over recent years, and where I feel with the series only won and lost. It's India's batting, especially the middle order. They have to step up, and they have to. It is a concern for me. I don't feel safe with them. The way I have confidence in the bowlers, I don't have confidence with the batters. I have to be honest with you. But especially the middle order is a big concern for me. So yeah, they have to live up to the billing. There is concern. Whoever opens with Rohit Sharma, we'll see. But that guy, he won't be a regular in the side, so we can't judge him now. But there are senior players who have to step up, starting with Rohit Sharma. I feel the bigger problem is in the middle order, but Rohit Sharma, this is now or never for him as far as Test cricket goes. He's in the 30s. Not a lot of international tours will come for him in Test cricket. If he has to make a legacy in Test cricket, he has to perform here, and this series will be very important for him. His home record is very good in Test cricket. It's the difference between his home and away record is about 50. Away from home, he has to prove himself. Since he has become Test opener, he has been brilliant. He started in that World Test Championship cycle, first series against South Africa, then play that series against West Indies, then play series against New Zealand, missed 2 games against Australia. Still was India's second highest top scorer, average 60. So he has been exceptional as an opener in Test cricket, but he has to prove himself overseas. He has shown good signs, so I have some confidence in him because he has shown good signs. The way he batted in Australia, he did not get a big score, but he was looking so comfortable in 3 of the 4 innings, just except the second innings in Gaba. He gave India brilliant starts, especially got a half century in the second innings in Gaba. Second innings in SCG, first innings in Gaba he got 44, but then people were accused him of throwing away his wicket, and that's what he did. There's no two ways about it in that. But he plays like that. It sometimes works for him, sometimes doesn't, but that is his game. He batted well in the World Test Championship final too, to be honest. Again, not a big score in the 20s and 30s and 20s in the second inning, but he saw off the new ball in both times. He did his job. Apart from the dismissals, he never looked uncomfortable, to be honest, and that was very encouraging. But he has to make the most of these starts. Half centuries, centuries. Ultimately, people will remember the runs, the milestones, how much he contribute to victories. And Rohit Sharma, Test cricket, he is an all-time great in limited overs cricket, but Test cricket at the moment he doesn't have a big legacy. But I don't fully agree with this judging him overseas, because I think first of all, home, it's not easy to score runs as people make out. So for example, the century he got in the home series against England earlier this year, the second Test match at Chepauk, India were 1-0 down in the series. Batting first, the pitch was tough. India lost early wicket, but what an innings. So I don't see this logic of why we just completely dismiss home runs. That's a topic for another day. There's so much bias of how cricketers are judged somehow. That's a huge topic for another day. But I feel confident on Rohit Sharma. I agree why people have doubts. It's very well justified. He has to prove himself, but I think there is reason to be confident. Talking about his overseas, I think the sample size isn't good enough, to be honest. Let's see here. You'll see he's played 7 matches in Australia. That's a good enough sample size. 7 matches. Average of 31, not good enough, and 350s. But otherwise, he has played 2 Test matches in England. One was at World Test Championship final. He's played 2 Test matches in New Zealand. He's played 4 in South Africa, but a very poor average of 15. 4 isn't too many, but an average of 15 in them, probably you don't justify getting more games after that. But still, I feel the sample size has he got as many chances? Probably he has been given a rough deal in Test cricket. If you look, we'll get to it. But if you look at some of the other players, maybe we have treated him a bit harshly. So yeah, we'll see with Rohit Sharma. But it's an opportunity for him, and let's see what he does of it. First, if he makes it, he'll be remembered. But look, the bigger problem is not Rohit Sharma. If you just judge of the World Test Championship final, if there's one batsman blamed the least for it, was Rohit Sharma. And middle order is the problem, and the biggest reason is because you've put Pujara and Rahane on a pedestal. You've given them so much responsibility. and I don't think they have repaid it fully, to be honest. And I you have to raise this question. Pujara is a major concern now. He has done some great things for Indian cricket. The two Test series wins in Australia, they won't be possible. In 2018-19, he got 3 centuries, he got 600 plus runs. Now this year, the knock at SCG, the knock at Gaba, just exceptional stuff. But questions have to be asked. There is a world beyond Australia, and Pujara has been underwhelming to say the least. In the World Test Championship final, he played all of India's game, 3, 5, the 17 games, but the results weren't there. He got average around 28, so this isn't good enough. That's the reality of it. You can run away from it, you can deny it, but the truth is it's not been good enough for him. People like to protect him, but I don't know why it's just brushed under the carpet. It should not be. If this series, there have been some thoughts of dropping him, but I won't go as far as that. He should get at least the first 2-3 games. You need to give him to him. He deserves that. But if this series he doesn't deliver, the questions have to be asked. Maybe he has to be dropped. I'll take it very seriously if he doesn't play well in this series. You have to drop him then. But we'll see about it, because I think this series, Pujara needs to step up. He needs to take responsibility, and I think there is a bigger issues with him. As we mentioned, his record in Australia is good. It's not good, never been good in England and New Zealand. He has 1 century in England. Apart from that, he has played about 10 games in England. He has an average of 27. There's 1 century, 1 half century, not good enough. And the problem is in swinging conditions with him. Similarly, 4 matches in New Zealand, no half century, the average of 20, no century, 1 half century, not good enough again. So I think this problem with swinging conditions with him is there. He plays bounce well, he plays spin well, so that's why Australian conditions, Indian conditions, even South African conditions to an extent he can do very well. But on those conditions, his approach, those are the sort of his release shots work in England and don't work in England. His release shots and his approach doesn't work, because in those conditions, if you play out the tough, like in Australia or India, if you play out the tough bowling period, you will get opportunity to score, you get opportunity to opposition, but you don't get that in England and New Zealand. You can't just block and block. You have to get runs, because you are bound to get that one picture of a delivery that you can't do anything about, that's unplayable. And that does happen in England, that does happen in New Zealand, especially with the kind of attacks these two teams have, pace bowling. So his approach doesn't work. Now we have enough sample size now. We've seen it in England and New Zealand, the World Test Championship final. He needs to be more proactive. He doesn't need to start flashing, start slogging, can play it his way, but just look for more, just look for singles, sometimes he doesn't even punish the bad deliveries, and this problem has arose over the last 2-3 years, and he needs to do that. And there's some technical issues with his batting, and I think Dale Steyn mentioned this on ESPN Crick Info. Steyn said his feet movement from the time he played against him, he bowled against him, to now is completely different, and we see he does get stuck on the crease. That is what forces him to not get on the front foot, to get stuck on the back foot, and probably helps opposition bowl him out, hit the stump behind him, or get that edge going forward, because the feet don't come out. So that is an issue, to be honest. We have to talk about it. Similarly, Ajinkya Rahane, I think he work he did again in Australia as captain was exceptional, but as batting, no, not good enough. Again, the World Test Championship final just perfectly summed him up. He's such a talented player. He gets runs, but he just throws his wickets away, and this has happened so many times. The World Test Championship final, first innings he was batting at 49, looking set. India could have got a very respectable score if Rahane stayed. Neil Wagner, we know what his strengths are. That short ball, we know that New Zealand had fielders in that entire leg side, and he just fell prey to that bait. He just pulled it to a fielder. You know that is what Wagner wanted. It's a very careless shot. Second innings was even worse. He was only did not score a lot of runs. He was on 15 or something, but he just nicked it beyond the leg side to the keeper. Just an embarrassing dismissal. And Rahane, I don't know, he just gets away with it or what, because people remember that one good innings, not the bad ones with him, and it's I don't know why, because it does hurt the team's chances, because he isn't consistent, to be honest. He was India's top scorer in the World Test Championship, as you saw with in that list where I mentioned Rohit Sharma. His average was 42 though. He played all games. But he got the runs, but they are heavily inflated by that West Indies series. He was second highest run scorer. He got 1 century, 2 half centuries there. He did well against South Africa, 1 century, 1 half century. But still, that's not consistent enough. In Australia, he played 8 innings. Legendary century at MCG, one for the folktale where we talked about wages. But apart from that, he did not have a single half century. 1 in 8. Again, that home series against England, same thing, 1 in 8. These are just becoming very common with him. This 1 half century in 8, and it's even 1 half century, 1 century. And this his test record speaks volumes. He's played 74 test matches for India. He just has 12 centuries. He has an average of 41. Just not been like good enough, to be honest. And I think Rahane, again, he is not on the Pujara stage where you can actually probably consider dropping him. But unless it's an absolutely miserable series for him. But again, as spotlight is on him, he needs to do better. Lastly, Virat Kohli, he has to step up too. There are no complaints about his batting style. They were in 2014. He is free of any pressure this time around, because in 28 he battled like a dream. 593 runs, 2 centuries, 3 half centuries, 240 plus scores. What a series! There were so many doubts about how he'll bat in England. Can he do it in England? Can he bat in those conditions? Can he bat against Anderson under the clouds? Just smashed those doubters brilliantly. But since 2019, November 2019, in the pink ball test at Kolkata against Bangladesh, he hasn't got a test century. Since the start of 2020, he has test average is 24. Just put context to it. He has not played a lot of games too. He missed 3 games in Australia, so he's basically just played 7 games. But it's still a concern. Average of 24, no centuries is a concern. But the problem with Kohli is I don't see any mental issues. I don't see any technical issues. He's been batting well. He's got a few half centuries in this period. He got a half century in that first day at Adelaide. He got 2 very good half centuries against England in the second innings in both the Chepauk Test matches. One went in vain. One was very crucial to our victory. One that helped Ashwin get to a century, and then on a very tough track. Both the times tough, crumbling tracks. He was batting absolutely exceptionally in the World Test Championship final on that second day was washed out, obviously. He made no mistake, but then rain came. The match did not continue on that day. Next day he walked out and lost the wicket. But that second day he was batting so well. It was so unfortunate that bad lights and rain stopped play, and then we had to come next day and he couldn't continue that. So the way he's batting, I don't see many concerns. He's not converting it, and that is so un-Virat Kohli. I hope this is a phase that he gets over soon. He'll bat well, he'll get runs, but him getting 50 or him getting a century, there's a huge difference. I hope he can improve on it. And lastly, Rishabh Pant, he has done well in Test cricket. He has been brilliant in Test cricket. So good in Australia, so good in that home series against England. He has a Test. People will say whether he can bat. There were some questions about his batting in England, the way he batted in that World Test Championship final. Yeah, the approach was a bit bizarre, sort of short this time, but he still got 41 runs, more runs than most of your batsmen. Rishabh Pant is your hope in that middle order, but you need to give him a good platform. He can't be walking to bat at 80 for 4. He has to be walking to bat at least 200 for 4. So because that from 200 to 4, he can just maybe win your game. From 80 at 4, he's just saving a game. So he's trying to save a game. His game suits batting, so give him the platform to do wonders. Thank you for watching. Put your comments in. Tell me what you feel about India's batting. Are you concerned as I am? Do you see any doubts, or do you think these players are good enough to get the job done for India? Like, share, subscribe, press the notification button. Bye bye.